Gonna do a quick motor swap here. It's just a basic, nothing special about these motors. Just some basic 2205, 2300, 2205S. The reason I do like these though a little bit, they're still cheap, but they do have the separate shaft and the raised prop bed there, which I like a little bit. Pops, it gives a little grip too. They're all right motors, but notice here, look at that one is bent, shaft's bent. Look at it wobble. To me, it's easier to seal the nuts on there, but see it wobble just by hand spinning it. Big crash from the races this weekend, can definitely see it there. So we'll pull that one off. These look okay, that looks good. Not bad. That one has a little wobble to it, look at that. Both of my rear motors, probably from trying to go in through the gates and missing. You can see the threads are all scored up on that one. That's funny, the front motors seem to be in better shape. These were all put on at the same time. Little score there on the threads. That one looks fine. Probably gonna replace the rear two motors, it appears. Definitely, most definitely. And these you can replace the shaft. I don't have any spare ones right now, but I do have motors. So I'll keep these as spare. Maybe you can change the shaft. The one thing I worry about though when they take such an impact like that, are the bearings still okay? Maybe, but who knows. So I'll try to make this quick. Swapping rear two motors, got my solder iron, got some alcohol. Pop this off real quick here. Got some Rotor Riot skids. I like them. And motor guards on this one, so I still run motor guards on this one because I really beat the crap out of it, but obviously they don't help protecting the propeller shaft, the motor shaft, when you take a direct hit. So that should be good there. So let's take our motor guards off. Got a little soft mount in there, so a little rubber soft mount. We're kind of going back and forth with that. Some guys are saying that for your motors, it's best just to mount them because so you get all the feedback that you need. Don't know if that's true or not. I've had luck with those, so we just thrash on this dude. We got this one has taken some hits and beat the crap out of this quad. I know it's kind of ugly. Nothing special about it. Just a QAV 210. So my little DYS's, you can obviously tell I've replaced them quite a bit already. Let's put that under there so it doesn't move. And let's get our iron hot. Make sure that's clean before it gets hot. I don't like it heating up with a bunch of gunk on there. Love my Heiko. There we go. Had this for about 2 years now. I built a number of quads, lots of maintenance, even on the same tip. Amazing. About 650, let's do it Fahrenheit. So what I like to do too after I take that off is let's anchor that ESC down just a little bit so she don't want to move around while we're desoldering and soldering. Solder, desolder. I'll try not to move my head around too much because of the head cam. So always put a little solder on the tip. I don't want to get too high on the ESC. I just want to pull these off. Pull it right off. And I like to swipe that solder, get the extra off there. That looks just about right. Just need a little bit on the pad. A little more solder. Get that middle one out of there. Just touch, pull a little bit, pops right out. Condition that solder just a touch. And I put that solder on. It's the same solder here, so It is good to go. Just grab the motor here. Don't like to move around too much once it's touched. Looking good. Alright. I don't want to jab the flight controller or my hand. Just like that. Get out of there. Antennas? Beating up my antennas. Really nice. And these have been really beat up. Just pop it off, pull it out of there. Tape. Okay. Well, that was from our midair Saturday, Matt and I's midair. Both going for the same gate at the same time. It didn't work. Did not work out so well, but it looked cool on video. Got it all. It's on YouTube. Woohoo! That's a lot of solder on there. Now, last one. Just pull it off. Beautiful. And what I do is I'll actually mount the new ones before soldering them back on. You don't want to mess with the solder too much, because solder can only be heated up so many times and then it just doesn't work anymore. Doesn't want to bind. But we're always adding more to it. Like when I do these, I've probably swapped the motors on this thing. These same ESCs have probably seen 5 or 6 different motors each a piece. So let's pull this out of there. Look at that. New motors. So counter and clockwise. This would be our clockwise turning motor. Counterclockwise. Damn, threads. So yeah, counterclockwise threads. Usually the black is your counter because it's turning clockwise. So that one's gonna go there. Turning clockwise. I mean, they make these super easy with the directional arrows. A lot of your motor companies don't do that anymore. They're just all the same, and it makes it easier to swap. And my other quad, they're just standard. All the motors are the same. So, and I've never had a prop spin off, so as long as you get them on there good with. So we're just going to mount these back on. This is kind of fun with the motor mounts. It can be a pain, but check this out. So the tricky part, this is fun. So you're trying to get a soft mount and a motor and the protector. What I do is just try to line it all up right there. Look at that, that's about perfect. Keep that in the center. Pop it on. Then we'll prep one of our skids just with one bolt in there. Put that there. We'll see if we can get that started. This is fun part once you get it going. Oop, we got it. So now, once you have the one going, you flip her upside down and make sure everything's lined up. See how the little soft mount washer kind of moved a little bit? Everything's lined up. You can see if it's lined up in the center of the hole. Pull it around. Put another screw in. And usually when they get two of them in there, you're pretty much lined up. Okay, that started, so we just make sure. I also look around here and make sure everything is even. You can see right in there that we're lined up. Notice I didn't tighten those down. I just brought them down a little bit. That hasn't grabbed yet. Come on, there it goes. Now we're in. Nothing is tight yet. Okay, we're all in. Started. I'm just going to make sure everything looks good and lined up because everything's feeling pretty flat, really good right there. Also make sure the motor's not pressed against the guards because I've had that happen. If they actually touch and your motors are spinning and the guards are touching, that's causing some negative feedback in your PID loop. It's not going to like it. So make sure nothing's touching your motors. So I'll go opposite and I'll go with this one. I'm still not tightening down. I'm slowly bringing them in because I want that motor to be perfectly flush to where I feel it. That's contact, 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 contact. And now just give it a final little, make sure everything's nice and tight, but notice I'm not wrenching it, I'm just making sure they're in there snug. Okay, that one's as you go around, especially with a soft mount, things will even out. So that one's mounted and it feels good. You know, you spin it, make sure nothing feels like drove the screws into the windings or anything like that, or that it's not touching. See, there's a gap there in my motor guards. One thing bad about motor guards, you got to be really aware that they're not touching anything. See how that's got some marks there from a crash, and it pressed the motor guard up against the motor, and I had to replace that. This is a different one. But let's get our other motor mounted. We're lined up in there. Oops. Klutz. How we get everything matched up there. We're right in between. Looking good. So we better get to soldering. So what I do here, I'm going to leave them a little long. Especially the middle one. The middle one I always leave a little bit extra. Okay. Now, when I do this, notice I'm not pulling on the wire. I'm going to support the wire here. And I'm just going to give a little pop the tip off there. Sometimes you need a little, notice I don't have a lot of fingernails. There's not a lot of fingernail there, but you have a little something. These are small wires, so this, I think it's silicone, should just pop right off. And you don't need much. I mean, that's plenty. A little bit of windings coming out. Hold it. You know, and you could do this before you mount the motors, but I like to because I can see what length I need. Okay, we're looking good there. Now, I'll just kind of pop these up a little bit so I can easily tin them. Make sure we're nice and clean. See, sitting there, you'll get a little bit of grime, a little oxidation over here, because it's hot. It's hot. There we go. Okay, let's tin it up. Tinning is very easy. Just try not to splatter everywhere. I mean, we got our ESCs covered a bit. Maybe might even try to cover them a little. So let's first get away from it. Get a little on there. Soak up a little bit. Soak up a little bit. Shaky hands. There we go. You gotta make sure the wire's heated up so it actually absorbs. Look at that. So it actually absorbs that solder. There we go. Clean everything before I actually solder. See that flux popped off there? That wasn't solder, that was flux. So, let's get a little alcohol. So these. And we're gonna get our solder pads. I'm not going to get it all over, you know, I'm just hitting my solder pads. And notice, look at that clean out, there's like flux in between. I'm also going to take a dry. So our solder pads look good. And this is where you want something to kind of hang on. You can do it by hand, but I like to have something just to hold on and not pull the wire. And look at that. You just hold it right there. Get our solder ready. Now, I'm going to put a good amount of solder on here because I'm not going to add any as I solder. This is all it's going to get. Let's hit it. Come on, pad melt. There it goes. Look at that. That's beautiful. And hold perfectly still. That's how it's supposed to look. Let's grab that one. Place. Solder ball on there, I don't like that. Boom. Perfect. Booyah! Okay. We should be done soldering. Now we're just gonna clean everything. Clean. So both our motors are mounted. Let's take off our electrical tape. Got some zip ties. I think these blue ones are long enough. I've used them before. Yeah, just barely. Barely grab. I think that's good. Get in there really close. Oh, let's do a little bench test. See how she does. Get rid of the alcohol. Tesla. No smoke. Looking good. Turning clockwise. Turning clockwise. Counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. Good. Look at that, no wobble. How does the, look at that. You can even put your finger, these kind of nuts like this, you can see if there's any shake or anything. These are perfect, perfectly smooth. Look at that. You can even feel how kind of the bearings will make a little bit of noise too, even at an idle like this if your bearings are bad. Everything feels really good. Smooth as silk on those, like I just touched the top, see if it does any wobble. Smooth as silk.